Summer. It's coming around here in the States. Whenever this time of year slowly creeps in, as does my itch for summertime horror. I always want to watch Jason, Sleepaway Camp, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but summer's when I get to do it while matching the vibes. Today I couldn't help myself and I wanted to watch Friday the 13th, specifically part 3. Why? Well, I always kind of overlook this one. I have part 2 in the 5 through 8 collection on DVD, and I watch those relatively frequently, and I have a VHS copy of the first one, so that's on during summer and Halloween. Part 3, however, before today, I had only seen twice. One of those times it was just playing in the background while decorating for Halloween, and for some reason I always just think of this one as the one where the bikers get killed in the barn. I'm not going to pretend like this viewing changed my life or anything, but I did find myself much more interested in it this time than I did previously. Call it a hot take if you want, but in my opinion, this is truly where the franchise kicks off for me. Generally, I find the first to be a bit boring, but I respect it for being the first in a big franchise. Part 2 I find to be scary, full of cool music and tense moments for the characters, but this one hit a little bit harder on this viewing. As far as visuals and scares, the movie sets its tone very early on. I love the colors used in the sheets, and the director's ability to push us through this dark area around the shop where we don't want to be is incredible. Throughout the rest of the movie, we are given bright visuals and colors set amidst an otherwise scary background, but I don't think that visuals work well in general unless they are set up really early on, like they are here. Throughout the movie, the fake scares are done well, whether these are from Shelley or the camera works to subvert our expectations, where a cheaper horror movie of this era would probably get it done a little bit quicker to save on the runtime. Altogether, while the movie does fall into horror tropes of the time, I believe it really set the rest of the franchise up in what they aspire to be, and I think the box office is a reflection of that feeling I have. Ignoring the reboot and Freddy vs. Jason, it is the highest grossing sequel. Following the movie along, we get our usual kills, my favorite being the reveal of Andy. He was cut in half, but I probably shouldn't show that here. Our usual tropes.
Boring, you know that?
What would a weekend in the country be without sex?
And usual Jason. Look, there's the mask. Yay! I find myself checking out towards the end, but when we really start to get into Jason's descent on the cabin, I think the movie picks up the pace. Over 40 years ago, 9 movies in the franchise ago, and 7 Jasons ago, there was a pretty average movie. And I'm going to talk about, like, the last 10 minutes of it. Because it was dope as fuck. Okay, so what makes a great ending? Lots of stuff. Payoff from earlier in the movie.
Get away from her, you bitch!
From many movies ago.
I am Iron Man.
Or a big twist at the end.
Damn you all to hell!
An otherwise average movie could have an amazing ending, and everyone goes home remembering that from the theater, because it was the most recent thing that they saw. I mean, I'm making a whole video on that exact thing right now. The opposite can happen too, though. A great movie can have a crappy third act and we go home thinking about how bad of a movie it was. When maybe it just didn't stick the landing and the rest of it was great. Fortunately, the idea of character arcs aren't really a thing in Jason movies, so by the time that we get to what James A. Janice of Dead Meat calls the final girl circuit, we just get to watch an exciting action sequence, round out the movie, and roll credits. We all go home happy. The movie begins its upward momentum, funnily enough, when Jason receives his mask. At the time, there's no way that anyone working on these schlocky movies could have imagined the iconography created here, but they sure treated it like they knew. The way that he carries himself in this part of the film is so different from earlier for me. Before this point, Jason seems like a regular guy in the movie, but the way that he stands on the dock, the lighting on the mask, everything just kicks how badass he can be into high gear. And then topping it off with a kill that, for the time, was very visually striking, using the 3D effect that they've only really played with until this point in the movie. Now we are just as much a part of the horror as poor old Vera. Really, direction like this brings a spear to my eye. I mean, a tear to my eye.
Where you going?
I'm taking a shower. You gotta try it sometime.
After and during a very extended shower sequence, we're given a goofy kill setup, but it matches the whole circus clown vibe this dude gave off, I guess. And then we get a cool showing off of a recreation of the Kevin Bacon kill from the first one. Mama is so proud of you, buddy. The makeup effect here is such a show of how far they've come in abilities and use of the budget from the first one as well. The shot of Jason in the basement behind the stoner dude is very cool. The lighting in the movie is really well done here. And the setup of Shelley coming in and showing off his neck slit, while a little ham-fisted, is pretty cool and scary when you look at it through the character's perspective.
Stop fooling around, man!
The fire poker death is cool and gross, a show of how strong Jason is. But when Chris and Rick show up, the movie really ramps up its tension and action. Until this point, we got set up. There were multiple wide gaps between kills in the movie, and it fell into lulls often. But all of a sudden, within 12 minutes, we get 7 kills, which for a lot of people is where most of the fun in these movies lie. Upon the arrival of Chris and Rick, and the departure of Rick's eyeball, we get Chris's chase throughout the house. The bloody clothes, the picking up of the storm, the obligatory body dropping from nowhere that's in all of these, the tension and the music pick up. Shout out to the score, by the way. Seriously, it sets the vibe for me every single time. Right after the music cuts, the way that we're jump scared here, right alongside Chris, is just perfect pacing for me. But then Chris finally sees our golden boy. Jason pushing through the window is menacing. He's literally bursting through the frame, coming toward us just like the title card of the movies. And damn if they didn't perfect this shot here to me. As far as my understanding, there are scouts that go out and find filming location, and then obviously there are sets. But I want to know where the site scouting begins and the writing of a sequence ends. Did they know that they'd have a spiral staircase to set up in this beautiful crane and then reveal a bookcase that they can drop on Jason? Or did they just happen upon this cool setup? I'm not sure, but either way for me it's super cool. And perhaps it's the perfect balance that they happen to find here. At this point, Chris is locked in the attic. We see Jason barreling toward the door, tearing through it like it's cardboard. And the way that the body double moves here when she pulls the knife, there's so much weight behind what she did. It's gross, scary, and visceral, as are Dana Kimmel's tears. During this whole sequence, she does an amazing job cementing herself as a great final girl in her emotional acting. She fights back against Jason as she gets on the offensive and swings at him over and over. She feels so small against the force that is Jason, and yet she eventually gets him down, only to be followed up by a really cool effect of a knife throw. Smashing through this window, winning a hell yeah from my wife, leads us outside to reveal her second story departure. The use of the spiral stair sequence earlier in the chase was set up from the director, showing us the height that would eventually be a risk to Chris when she dangles for her life. Similarly, this was done to probably a better effect in Scream 2 with Cece's death. From just 2 minutes ago, we saw her go up, throughout the upstairs, and then back down with many slashes, cuts, and a body in between. The pacing of this is neckbreak and satisfying while using the setting of a summer camp slasher to great effect. Ultimately, these movies are at their most exciting for me when they pay off with their premise. Summer camp or summer trip slasher settings are the reason I watch these movies during this time of year. That's why movies like Jason Takes Manhattan fail for a lot of people. There's not a lot of payoff for the setup that they give. Again, we see Chris on the offensive when she swings at Jason with the log. Something I love seeing in a final chase scene. When characters are rich with proactive mentalities, you root for them so much more than when they just shove a flower pot or grandma in front of the killer. And of course a character like Chris would be proactive in her fight against someone. She's been through a situation like this before, as seen earlier in the movie. The attack on her before was scary and very impactful on her as a person being scared to go on the trip. This movie could have obviously put that story a little bit more in the forefront to flesh out her character a little bit better, but these are Jason movies, and we take what we can get as far as character arcs. From here, we get a really great moment of levity as she's getting away, only to immediately get dragged back into the horror with payoff from a previous confrontation.
Gas!
We can only sigh and yell at our screens,
Run, bitch! Run!
but again, great job dredging up stuff from earlier in the movie and having a consequence for it. She, somehow, traps Jason's arms in the window, and he has to bust through with his head, which is really cool to me. His force of nature, relentlessness, and no-nonsense feel comes through and adds another layer of action to what is already a horrific chase sequence. From here, we go back to the kill zone, the sandbox, the playpen, the red murder barn where murder happens. Jason hits a Rorschach,
You're locked in here with me.
and my favorite moment of the scene is executed. The music is cut. Jason's frustrated, childish nature peeks through as he tears through whatever he can. A beautiful crane shot pulls off of Jason, and we find Chris, balancing on a rafter and hiding. And guess what? It's a oneer. She really had to hop up there and hide in that small amount of time. And then, bam! Her landing is thwarted by a locked door and a thunk of a machete, and back upstairs we go. When Jason is hanged here, and yes, hanged, not hung, the scene finally lets up. To the audience, he's barely more than human at this point in the franchise. It's quick, snappy, and visceral as we watch the rope go tight and his neck bounce. What a great effect. To find him at the bottom hanging after an extended period of essentially silence only for his body to not only jolt back to life, but to pull himself up as the music kicks in, is terrifying. We round out the sequence with Ali making a triumphant return, because it gives us this cool hand effect, and an axe swing to the head that leaves a mark on the rest of the franchise. Now, following Chris out to the water is really gratifying to me for some reason. Pushing off the shore may initially make no sense really, but it feels like a safe haven for her. The woods don't feel safe to her as we've seen her interactions before with it, and the car that she tried to take before obviously doesn't work.
Gas!
The shot that we get pulling us from the front of the boat to the top is super smooth, and the color of the boat and shirt tie me back in with these cool flashes of color we got throughout the movie. Her reluctance to touch the water or move anything at all after she got a good night's sleep is a pullback into comfortability before we get this horrifying shot of Jason scrambling to make his way through the window. He busts through the door and then disappears. She's left floating in tranquility, and everything's gonna be all right. What a cool scare! The head here is horrifying, the missing eyes, the iconic sweater, and the worms on her face really tie how mucky this whole camp experience feels in the movie. I love it. A great way to reference the original, put a unique visual spin on it, and keep the consistency in the franchise as far as tone and substance. This additional fake-out ending would be too obvious, right? The director had to flex with this crazy crane shot from damn near within the car, pull way out, and drop into the body of Jason, while a beautifully haunting score leaves us with unease. Finally, we are left with just the body of Jason, as still as the water in the lake, or so it may seem. The visual here, telling us he may still be alive, is so intriguing to me. A sign that these creators, maybe even at the time, understood that this character and series may never truly die. And for me, I really hope it doesn't. A character as iconic as Jason can really survive for a long time given the proper treatment. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten that in the last couple of years. There are always rumblings of some kind of reboot or remake, or now apparently a prequel series that's in development. Honestly, this world is really cool, but I would rather just stick to Jason as a character, as that's where most of the fun comes in for me. And sequences like this only get crazier throughout the series. Whether they're executed as well or not, Jason himself continues to be an interesting character because while these scenes may get repetitive, his abilities grow more and more. Honestly, I don't mind if they use this template forever. It keeps me coming back. I've watched all these movies a billion times, and I will watch them a billion times more. But when you get directions like this, acting like this, characters like this, and effects like this, it all combines together to be something that I really want to continue watching. Even if it's amongst a somewhat average movie, I believe it's our job as an audience to find the best things, no matter how small, in each of these movies, because I'd rather have something like this that I keep going back to, which is imperfect and human, but it is human altogether. As long as we support creators in any aspect, going out and doing what they love and making something pretty cool, then great. I'd rather see bad, goofy, schlocky, cheesy horror movies forever than corporate synergy AI bullcrap. So yeah, I love this movie's ending. I also love the entirety of Part 6. So if you're interested in my breakdown of Part 6, leave that in the comments below. If you have any recommendations for movies like Friday the 13th or Sleepaway Camp, leave those in the comments below as well. Otherwise, thank you for watching.